So, hi, Fiona. Nice to speak to you again. Um, the first thing I'd like to ask is, would you be able to give a short presentation of yourself, your story, and volunteering, and what you think is how Volpower might have helped you in your volunteering in Malta?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Fiona. I lived in Malta from September 2019 to March 2020. And while I was there, my job was teaching English at middle and secondary schools. But I also got involved in volunteering, specifically in the migrant and refugee communities in Malta, primarily in two ways. I first started up a new program on the little island of Gozo that I was living on. There weren't any programs previously specifically for migrants or any free of charge English classes. And so my volunteering there was starting up a group called Gozo English Club, where we met every week for beginner and pre-intermediate classes, as well as doing some community events. We had a public speaking workshop. We had different events for International Migrants Day and things like that. And then the other volunteering I got involved in is with a local NGO that was already existing. I became an English teacher there for migrants in a reception center. And then eventually I also became project manager for the English classes, which I'm still continuing with now remotely. So Volpower has been helpful in creating a network for me of volunteers, and it's also provided some really good resources. So for example, there was that section on writing poetry and things like that. And so I did that for myself, but also was able to use that with some of my volunteering work and getting other people involved in doing those activities. Or for example, a couple weeks ago, we had a podcast workshop and making podcasts. So I feel like I've also gained a lot of skills through it.
Like when Volpower gave you resources, which workshops did you attend, and how did you use the resources?
The primary workshop I attended was the one a couple weeks ago on making podcasts. I haven't officially made a podcast since then, but it's something I've always been interested in. And so it's something I want to continue exploring in the future. And the other workshops, I know there was the one about writing poetry and kind of creatively expressing yourself. And so kind of in that same vein, a couple weeks before I had to leave Malta, I started a photo voice project with some of the students of the Gozo English Club. And so we were going to talk about discrimination in Malta and having them take pictures of times when they felt equal in Malta, times when they felt discriminated against in Malta. And so we were going to kind of express those experiences through pictures. Given COVID, we weren't able to finish the project, but that's something we started and the students were very interested in, and something that I would be interested in continuing again in the future.
With regards to the reason that you choose to volunteer, because it's not just this volunteering experience, you have told me in the past that you've always been interested and you've participated in a lot of various things. Why do you volunteer? What do you get out of it, in the sense of, do you do it for yourself, you do it for others, or do you do it because you just enjoy it?
I think all of the reasons are relevant and motivations for me for why I volunteer. One of the primary reasons is in order to kind of give back to the community, to support other people, and to do something outside of yourself and not just be one-track minded on what's my future, what do I need to do, but focusing on others and how you can support others and kind of broadening your view that way. But it also provides a community of friends for me as well. So the individuals that I volunteered with in Malta, those became my closest friends and are those that I'm still in contact with. And so I think it also provides, a community of people who have a similar outlook on life, who are also interested in supporting others. So that's also a nice way to build community through volunteer work.
With that said, would you see yourself coming back to Malta to continue the project you had started and to continue building on what you were doing?
So thankfully, I've still been able to continue, even now when I'm not in Malta, I've been able to continue being language project manager remotely. And so I'm thankful for that and thankful to continue building on my experience there and continuing the project and expanding it and making English classes accessible to migrants in the reception center. So regarding if I would come back to Malta, it kind of depends on what my trajectory is. Right now, I just started grad school, so I'll be finished that in about a year. And then after that, I'll be looking for jobs. So it depends on where I get a job. But if I get one in Malta, I would absolutely return to volunteering in person. But for right now, I'm also continuing remotely wherever I am.
And talking about that, getting a job, would you consider trying to get your volunteering job, which is essentially the job because you do give a lot of time to it, to become your actual job, as in your paying job? Would you see something like that, something you would like, or would you see as volunteering as something that you're doing as something add-on to your life?
Yeah, so the volunteer work that I do right now and have done in the past has all been related to what I'm interested in career-wise as well. So moving forward in the future, I want to have a career in this field of forced migration. Regarding if I would get a job with the specific organization I'm in, that might not be as feasible since we're a 100% volunteer-based organization, so no one there has a fixed paying position. But definitely the work that I've been doing now volunteer-wise is something that I would want to get a job in as well.
And with that said, I'm actually having to skip a few here because you keep merging them into each other. So the volunteering experience itself is something you want to do specifically because you want your jobs to be, your work, your career to be in that direction. And do you see that there's value to the volunteering, or do you see there's no value added apart from the ones you study and it's just application of what you study, what you learn at school, at university, etc.?
It definitely adds value because it gives that practical application of what I'm learning theory-wise in school. So, for example, this semester I started my master's program and one of my classes is about project management. And right now I am practically doing project management through my volunteer work and managing these English classes for about 80 students in the camp. And so having had that class was very beneficial in giving me more skills into doing my work well. And then having that practical application is super valuable to make what you're learning more relevant. So yeah, I would absolutely say it's valuable.
All right, that's great. And taking from this, like moving on, the people that you've made friends with, not just in Malta, but just on your program that you were on, the Fulbright program, I believe. Do you still maintain contact with them, especially the contacts in Europe? Have you maintained contact with most of them or a very select few?
Yeah, I would say with the people that I volunteer with in Malta, I have contact with all of them. Also because I'm continuing to volunteer with them remotely, and so I have contact with them just through our regular meetings and such. But I also have friendly contact with them, so we talk about life. We have phone calls just to chat. So with that, I still have contact with most of them. Same with the Fulbright community as well.
And just closing this short interview with you, what is the most memorable experience you had in Malta during this volunteering experience?
One of the most memorable things was the public speaking workshop that I was able to put on for the students of the Gozo English Club. It was really exciting to see the students not only gain confidence in public speaking and learn some tips of how to speak and present yourselves, but then also to write their own speeches and present them for us. So that was a really memorable moment for me to see them kind of come out of their shell and present something about their life and their thoughts with us. And they also gave positive feedback saying that they really enjoyed it.
Okay. If you had to say 5 words to describe this in total, overall, to close it, what would it be? 5, 10 words.
I would say it was very inspiring, motivational. It's hard to put it just into a couple words, but yeah, it was very inspiring working with these individuals and motivation for me to continue in this line of work.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for taking your time yet again. And thank you for, having helped so much with the project. I helped with all of the interviews, and whenever you could, came in and participated.